I pretended to kidnap my best friend's kids to teach her a lesson. Now she won't even speak to me. Am I the monster she thinks I am? So my best friend of 20 years has now labeled me as the biggest asshole on the planet. And honestly, I get it. I might be. Because what I did was pretty extreme. Here's the thing. She's been leaving her kids, who are 5 and 8 years old, home alone all the time. It's only for like 10 minutes, but I've told her a million times. This isn't safe. What if something happens? But she doesn't listen. Now she's in the middle of a nasty custody battle with her ex. He's looking for anything he can use to win, and I know if he finds out she's leaving them alone, it's game over for her. But she doesn't get it. One day, I'm driving over to her place, and I see her leaving. She doesn't see me, and I get this insane idea. What if I show her what could happen? So I go to her house, and yep, the door's unlocked, as usual. I tell her kids, hey, let's go for a little drive. They're used to going out with me, so they hop in the car without a second thought. We drive just down the street where I can see her house, and I wait. A few minutes later, she comes back home. She walks inside, and then I see her face at the front door. She looks absolutely terrified. She's running around, checking every room, the backyard, back to the front again. I thought she'd get the message and realize how easily something could go wrong. So I drive back and walk in with the kids, smiling, thinking she'd understand. But instead, she's on the floor, sobbing and shaking. I didn't expect that. She could barely speak. She finally manages to ask why I did it, and I tell her, I needed you to see how dangerous it is. She kicks me out and hasn't answered my texts since. So, yeah, Reddit, am I the asshole here? Update 1. So after she kicked me out, I gave her some space. Like, I knew she was mad, and I figured maybe she'd cool off after a few days. Spoiler, she didn't. I sent her texts like, hey, I'm sorry, I just wanted to prove a point. Or, can we talk? Nothing. Totally ignored. Even tried calling once, but she sent me straight to voicemail. It's weird because in 20 years, we've never gone more than a couple of days without talking. This was like hitting a wall. Anyway, I decided to leave her alone for a bit, hoping she'd come around. In the meantime, I started replaying everything in my head. Did I go too far? Probably. But her kids were fine, right? No harm done. Or so I thought. About a week later, I heard from her ex. Yeah, the one she's in a custody battle with. He called me out of nowhere, which was already weird because we're not exactly friends. He's always been kind of a jerk, but I picked up because I was curious. And guess what? He knew. Like, somehow he knew exactly what I did. He goes, hey, just wanted to thank you for proving my point about her being an unfit parent. I was like, what are you talking about? And then he lays it out. Apparently, she told him everything, and now he's planning to use it in court. My stomach dropped. I didn't think she'd ever tell him. She knows how much he's been gunning for full custody, so why would she hand him ammo like that? I tried to play it off like, that's not what happened, dude. I was just trying to make a point about safety. But he didn't care. He was all, doesn't matter, you've given me what I need. Then he hung up. At this point, I'm freaking out. I never wanted to make things worse for her. The whole reason I did this was to protect her kids, not help her ex take them away. So I went into full-on damage control mode. I texted her again like, hey, we need to talk. It's important. Still nothing. Finally, I showed up at her house unannounced. I know, bad move, but I was desperate. She opened the door, saw it was me, and immediately tried to slam it shut. I stopped it with my foot and said, please, just hear me out. She looked like she was about to cry again but didn't say anything, so I just started talking. I told her I never meant for this to blow up like it did. I explained that I thought she'd keep what happened between us and that I only wanted to make her understand the risk she was taking by leaving the kids alone. She just stared at me, arms crossed, not saying a word. Finally, she goes, you don't get it. You don't get what you've done. Turns out, after I pulled that little stunt, her kids started having nightmares. The 5-year-old woke up screaming a few nights in a row, convinced someone was going to take them away again. The 8-year-old refuses to go to bed unless all the doors are locked and triple-checked. She said they're scared all the time now, asking her if she's going to leave them alone again or if a stranger is going to come into the house. Hearing that made me feel like absolute garbage. I honestly didn't think about how it might affect them long term. I told her I was sorry, but she cut me off and said, "Sorry doesn't fix this." Then she added, "And now, thanks to you, their father has leverage he didn't have before." That's when I realized how bad this really was. Apparently, her ex is already threatening to bring it up in court, saying she's reckless and endangers the kids. I tried to tell her I'd back her up, say it was all my fault and not hers, but she just shook her head. "It doesn't matter. The damage is done," she said. She told me to leave and said she didn't want me around her or the kids anymore. That was it. Door slammed in my face. Now I'm sitting here trying to figure out how to fix this mess. Do I call her lawyer and explain what happened? Would that even help? Or would it just make things worse? I thought I was helping her, but now it feels like I've completely ruined her life. And the worst part? She's right. I don't get what I've done. I thought I was proving a point, but I didn't think about how it would affect the kids. I didn't think about how it would look in court. I didn't think at all. So, yeah, I guess I'm the asshole. The biggest one on the planet, just like she said. What do I do now? Update 2. After getting the door slammed in my face, I was at a loss. I kept thinking I could fix this somehow, but every idea felt like it might make things worse. Then, out of nowhere, her lawyer calls me. I wasn't ready for that. At first, I thought maybe she told them to call me so I could explain myself. But nope. The lawyer straight up told me I was being subpoenaed. Apparently, her ex's lawyer got wind of the whole situation, probably from her ex running his mouth, and now they want me as a witness in the custody case. I had no clue what to say, so I just stammered something like, sure, I'll cooperate. What else was I supposed to do? Hang up on a lawyer? Now I'm spiraling because I can't imagine anything I say in court will help her case. I thought about calling her again to warn her, but let's be real. She wasn't going to pick up. I didn't want to make things worse, so I decided to keep my distance and just wait until I got the official papers. Fast forward a week, and I get served. I read through everything, and it's bad. Her ex is claiming she's negligent and reckless, and my little stunt is Exhibit A. They even have a written statement from the 8-year-old saying they thought they were being taken away by someone bad when I drove them off. That hit me like a punch to the gut. I couldn't sleep that night. I just kept thinking, how did I screw up this badly? I wanted to help, but now her kids are scared, she's furious, and her ex is about to use me as a weapon in court. Great job, right? The next day, I decided to do something. I didn't know if it would help, but I couldn't just sit there. I called her sister. Her sister and I have always been cool. She's the kind of person who tells it like it is. When she answered, I said, "I need your help. I think I really messed up." She sighed and said, "Yeah, you did." Then she told me her side of things. Apparently, my friend is completely wrecked right now. Between the custody battle, her kids' nightmares, and what she sees as my betrayal, she's barely holding it together. She's seeing a therapist, which is good, but she's also convinced she's going to lose her kids. No, her sister wasn't exactly nice about it, but she agreed to hear me out. I explained my side, the whole thing, start to finish. And when I was done, she said, "You need to go to court and tell the truth. That's the only way you can fix this." I asked her what she meant by the truth, and she said, "You tell them why you did it. Make it clear it wasn't her fault. Own up to everything." At first, I didn't want to. Not because I didn't want to take responsibility, but because I didn't think it would make a difference. But then she said, "If you don't, her ex wins. Is that what you want?" Of course not. The last thing I want is for her to lose custody of her kids. So I told her sister I'd do it. I'd go to court and say whatever I needed to say. The court date came faster than I expected. I was a nervous wreck walking in there. Her ex was sitting at one table looking smug as hell, and she was at the other, looking like she hadn't slept in weeks. She wouldn't even look at me. When it was my turn to testify, I laid it all out. I admitted I took the kids without asking. I admitted I was trying to scare her into realizing how dangerous leaving them alone could be. I said I wasn't thinking about how it would affect the kids or how it would look in a custody case. Her ex's lawyer tried to twist my words, asking stuff like, "So you believe she's an unfit parent? And would you leave your own kids alone like she did?" I stood my ground and said, "No, I don't think she's unfit. I think she made a mistake, and I made it worse. When I was done, I looked at her for the first time, and she finally looked back. She didn't smile or anything, but at least she didn't look like she hated me anymore. After court, her sister texted me to say thanks. Apparently, what I said helped. The judge decided not to use my stunt as a reason to strip her custody, but they did issue some new rules. She has to prove she's using proper childcare when she's not home, and there's some kind of mandatory parenting class she has to take. I don't know if she'll ever forgive me, but at least she didn't lose her kids. That's something, right? Update 3. The custody battle wrapped up, but things between us? Still not great. I wanted to give her space, but at the same time, I couldn't shake the feeling that I owed her more than just a court testimony. I kept thinking about everything that happened, the kids, her reaction, the way her ex nearly tore her life apart, and realized I needed to actually do something to try to make this right. So I reached out to her sister again, hoping she could give me some advice. She didn't sound thrilled to hear from me, which fair, but she told me, if you're serious about fixing this, stop texting her apologies and start showing her you've changed. Her suggestion? Help her rebuild. Not just her relationship with her kids, but her sense of safety, too. I didn't fully get what she meant at first, but I decided to start small. I offered to pay for her kids to attend counseling. I knew money was tight because of all the legal fees, and I figured it was the least I could do after messing with their sense of security. Her sister said she'd pass the message along, but I didn't expect a response. A week later, she texted me for the first time since this whole thing blew up. It wasn't a long message, just, I appreciate the offer. The kids already started therapy through their school, but thanks. I can't lie, I felt a tiny bit of hope reading that. At least she was acknowledging me. Then I got bold and asked if she'd be open to meeting up to talk. No pressure, no expectations, just a chance for me to explain myself better. It took her 2 days to reply, and even then, all she said was, I'll think about it. Fast forward another week, and she agreed to meet. She picked a coffee shop near her house, and when I got there, she was already sitting at a table, looking super uncomfortable. I sat down, and before I could even start, she hit me with, "This doesn't mean I forgive you." I nodded because, honestly, I didn't expect her to. I just wanted to tell her everything, how sorry I was, how I realized how stupid and reckless I'd been, how I never wanted to hurt her or the kids. I also told her I'd testify 100 more times if it meant protecting her from her ex. She listened without interrupting, which felt like a miracle. When I finished, she said, "Do you even realize what you put me through? What you put them through?" She went on to tell me how hard it's been helping her kids feel safe again, how every time she leaves the house, they ask where she's going and when she'll be back. She said her trust in me is completely shattered, and she doesn't know if it'll ever come back. That hit hard. I told her I didn't expect forgiveness, and that I just wanted to try to make things right, even if it took years. She didn't say much after that, just nodded a little and said she'd think about what to do next. A couple of days later, her sister texted me again. She said my friend had been talking to her about our meetup and how conflicted she felt. Apparently, she's torn because part of her hates what I did, but another part of her knows I was trying to help in my own messed up way. Her sister told me to just keep giving her space and let her come to me if she's ready. So that's where things stand now. I'm not banned from her life, but I'm not exactly welcome either. I'm trying to accept that rebuilding this friendship might not even be possible, and if it's not, I just have to live with that. But the silver lining? Her kids are safe, her ex didn't win, and she's got a support system in place to help her move forward. I've learned my lesson, though. No more dramatic stunts to prove a point. Next time, I'll use words, or better yet, keep my nose out of other people's business. If she ever does forgive me, it'll probably take a long time. Until then, all I can do is hope she knows I regret everything and that I'll always have her back, even from a distance.